Sorry about that. I just looked at this and realized I've been talking for 10 minutes and I hadn't gone live yet. I am so sorry for being late. Let's start over. I got to really work on this. I said start streaming and it didn't start streaming. It didn't. So let's start over fresh here. And the thing is, I've got this right in front of me and I wasn't even doing this. Like I'm sitting here going, okay, why is this not changing? Why is this not changing? What's going on here? And it wasn't doing anything. So sorry about that. Sorry about being late here. Let's start off fresh. Yeah, I'll not you do the opening panel. Well, I'll do the opening panel because why not?
Program initiated.
So here we are. It is now 1:15. Sorry about that. Well, 1:17. Sorry about that. I thought everything was working and I'm just watching and it's dumb. I've got a screen right in front of me showing me everything that's going on. It's not changing. It's not changing. It's not changing. It's not changing. What's going on here? So sorry, but I'm late. So I want to talk about the, well, first of all, if you are here and you're just checking this out, if you just getting notified of this, and it'd be awesome if you could, if you have a second, give me a quick sub. I would appreciate that. That way I can see what I'm doing is working and more things are coming up. Okay. I want to talk about DC Comics and their older movies versus their newest batch of movies. Started back in the 70s when we had Superman, the movie that came out in, I think, 78. And it was interesting. It was like, their tagline was, "You believe a man can fly." And they did a really good job of doing that. Excuse me one sec. Vistaprint. So it was really well done and the movie was interesting, but they played a lot with the mythos and that's fine and dandy too. They just made a little change here and a change there. They got rid of Superboy, which, you know, as a comic fan, I just think Superboy, you know, he was Superboy in the Legion of Superheroes and he had all these stories that happened when he was a kid and they said, nope, didn't happen. Okay. And the thing is it was a great movie and it still holds up. I think it's really enjoyable. I'll pop it in once in a while, just, you know, giggle. Other times well, not giggle, but just smile to myself because I'm enjoying it. And other times it comes up like on, you get, you know, free previews at Christmas time of movie networks. And I go, Superman, I'll watch that. Superman 2, yeah, I'll watch that. Superman 2 was really enjoyable too. You know, Phantom Zone Criminals coming out. I always find it interesting though, because you would see Krypton, and Krypton would be in these flowing robes and all these things. And then you've got the three criminals in bondage gear, which always struck me as very odd. But, you know, it made for something interesting because Superman, in the first movie, he fought against natural disasters and Lex Luthor. And Gene Hackman was an inspired casting for Lex Luthor. And then we have, you know, the superheroes, well, or superhero fighting against the supervillains. And there are some parts I just kind of went, like, he gives up his powers to be with Lois because that's what his father said. You can't be with a human woman unless you're a human. And then he gets beaten up. Well, I'm sorry, if you spend your life, you know, being Superman, you're going to have some physicality to you, even with your powers gone. Like Chris was a big guy. He's like 6'4", and he put on a lot of muscle. I think he was about 225. That little guy wouldn't be able to take him down at all. And then later on afterwards, when he fights them, when he gets his powers back, that's not something Superman would do. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. But it was a good movie. I like the Donner edition better, which is they released years later. I didn't like the campiness that came in afterwards when they took, because they filmed Superman 1 and 2 side by side. They started filming at the same time and cut them down into two movies. But something fell apart and they brought in another director to do it. I couldn't for the life of you tell me who it was. But they brought in the love subplot, and then they brought in the amnesia kiss and all these things. And some of the stuff they did was interesting, but I really kind of like, what? Are you kidding me? So, like the fight in the Fortress of Solitude, the S. What? It's not a power he has. The bit where there's multiple Supermen, like that I can see happening because, you know, the Flash does that. The Flash does, you know, tennis with himself because he stays there for half a second or a quarter of a second and there's an afterimage. Much like, you know, you light a stick on fire and then the ember, you can write your name in the sky. because persistence of vision. That's how lasers work. A laser sign. That's how that works. So that would work. That's how they went through and they caught them. But like I said, the amnesia kiss. Are you kidding me? Also, too, at the end of Superman 1, where he spins around the world really quickly and the world starts going backwards, time goes back. It's a poor representation of going faster than light, so he's going backwards in time. But there's also, too, the time paradox, because if he does that, he exists in 2 times at the same time. And, well, there's problems with that, according to temporal theory. But it was good. It was good. And then we get into Superman 3, which, was a start down that path. It was something. But it was all right. Some things I didn't like. Like Richard Pryor was okay, but the bit where he goes, "Oh, I'm Superman." Like, why would he do that? Superman, you never see Clark Kent doing this, so why would he suddenly think, "Well, this is what I would do to show off my"? It was silly. And then Superman 4 is pretty much the poster child for not letting actors get ideas into their heads about things. It was a Christopher Reeve project. He wanted to push this forward, and it wasn't very good. When we get Lex Luthor and John Cryer, it's a throwaway character. I don't know why they even did that. But even then, the 4 movies were good. I still will watch Superman 4. I won't watch it as much as I watch the other 3, or the other 2, mainly 1 and 2, but I will watch 3, and, it's all right. But then we move on to 1989. We get Batman, Michael Keaton. And I remember going to the comic shop and the people talking about it. Oh, fantastic. Michael Keaton is Batman. Right on. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Mom's going to come in. So someone's getting mugged and Batman swoops in, gets his ass kicked, and the mugger keeps going. He did a good job as Bruce Wayne. His Batman was, the way they shot him made him more imposing than he was, and putting him in body armor made sense. Up until that point, Batman was just in a regular cloth costume, and then in the comics we started adding plate armor and things like that to it, so it was all right. I liked what they did with the movie, although I didn't like the beginning of the bad guy, let's kill him. Although, to be fair, there's something to be said about how we don't have the revolving door at Arkham Asylum. We just have, the Joker shows up in Batman 1 and he dies in the end of Batman 1. The Penguin shows up in Batman 2 and dies in the end of Batman 2. Two-Face dies at the end of Batman 3. I'm sure, did anyone die in Batman and Robin? I think maybe Poison Ivy. Anyway, Batman 1 was phenomenal. It was great. And it was bittersweet for me because it was out the summer around the time my grandfather died. Now, when these come out, these generally come out around my birthday because I'm the last day of June, the last day of spring, so June 20th. So around these movies come out around June 20th, 21st, 26th, 28th, 20th. So yeah, I saw it lots of times in the theater and I really enjoyed it. Batman Returns came out. I was in university. Well, I was in university for Batman as well, but I was in university. I saw it a couple times. Batman Forever, I was done. I love that movie just because, as I've said before, I'm a huge Dick Grayson fan. So having Dick Grayson show up in the movie was great. To have him show up and just do, a decent job as a Robin. There was talk in Batman 1 about getting Marlon Wayans to show up as like a streetwise punk who ends up being Robin. And I'm like, sorry. His Romani origins are a big part of who Dick Grayson is, and Marlon Wayans is not Romani by any way, shape, or form. Even Brandon Thwaites, who's doing it now in Titans, he's okay, but he doesn't hit it correctly. But Batman Forever was a good movie. I enjoyed it, even though the fact that Nicole Kidman is in it, and I can't stand her. I've said this in other things. I share a birthday with her, not a birthday, but a birthday. We're the same age. We're born the exact same day. She was probably 14 hours earlier, but, in Australia. But I don't like her. I don't know why. I just can't stand her. I think she's in. I just kind of no, change the channel. And even Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin was a fun movie. If the way I look at Batman and Robin, it's Batman from the 60s in movie format. Like if you take the campiness of the Batman show and put it into a movie, you got it. But still there's one part that it was very heartfelt and it came across really well. And I liked it. It was at one point, hi, Pablo. At one point, it was Bruce saying to Dick Grayson, I'm asking you, as a friend, as a partner, as a brother, will you help me? That stuck with me because that's what it is. Bruce and Dick, they're brothers, shared through, a common tragedy. They both lost their parents at a young age and there's a common tragedy and they want to, a lot of people make the mistake with Batman is trying to get vengeance. And he's trying to make sure no one has to go through what he went through as a child when he was, orphaned at age 8. So he's trying to stop everyone else from having to go through that ever again. So that's sort of his motivation for doing what he's doing. So we get to the end of these movies. This is in the 90s. And, George jokes that, he destroyed the franchise. Well, he didn't, because other movies have come since, but it was a real stop. It's like, okay, we're done. I'm going to do this. So then that was it for quite a while until we get to 2013, when we've got, the sort of the DC universe. Now, we have had other movies since then. We've had, before that, we had Green Lantern, and I believe we had the Nolanverse movies. I will have to check and see when those come out, but they're a separate universe, not part of this universe. So we have the Batman Begins and the other movies, and they're good, but they're not part of the universe they're trying to build. And when they brought these out, they had some real problems with it. So it started with Man of Steel. 2013, this came out, and it was a good movie, but it had a lot of real hiccups in it. Things like when Clark destroys the truck, just because they're being mean to him. And other things like, I didn't like the Jonathan Kent character when Clark saves the kids in the bus. And he's like, what, should I just let them die? And Jonathan says, yeah. So you weren't exposed to the world, but I can't let them die. I have these gifts. I have to be able to help them. And then when he dies in the tornadoes and Clark, no, don't, no, and then dies. It wasn't well done. Although it's interesting too, I hear these stories later on, the stories you hear about all the, I guess, input from the company, from Warner Brothers, saying, well, hang on a sec here. You can't have the ship be used to stop the bad guys, because how's he going to go back to Krypton? And the director's like, we blew up Krypton. It was in the first half an hour. Did you not see that? So this is definitely like a studio movie. Now, Zack Snyder, he did what he could with this. I didn't like some of the characterizations of it. His Superman was okay, and as my friend Larry says, when they say Superman doesn't kill, well, Superman didn't kill in this movie. Kal-El killed in this movie, and then Superman doesn't kill moving forward because of what he had to go through to do that. And there's lots of other ways he could stop Zod from doing that. He could have thrown him into the stratosphere. He could have just blinded him slightly. Could have done anything like that to stop him rather than snapping his neck. But anyway, and I didn't like the muted. I didn't like the grimdark. Superman is a ray of hope, so he's bright blues and bright reds, primary colors, and this is just all. At the end of Black Adam, when Superman shows up, you can tell they've upped the colors in the costume. At this point, I don't know what's happening. I'll get to that later, but there's some talk about things that are happening, moving forward with James Gunn and Peter Safran. So we'll see where that goes. But Man of Steel was okay. I'll give this all like B-. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I have it on DVD or Blu-ray. I liked it well enough to buy it. It was, a good start. And, well, yeah, there you go. Then we got this Batman versus Superman. Oh, it's garbage. I've seen it once, and I think that's enough. It wasn't well done. I didn't like it. It just was. The motivation was wrong, and Batman was wrong. And it's just so many things were wrong in it, and it just no. And then it ends, with the death of Kal-El or Superman. Any less said about that, the better. I didn't even see the Suicide Squad movies. There's Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. I never cared about the Suicide Squad. I never cared about those characters in the comics. Never cared about them. I don't care about them in the movies. Jared Leto goes on, they say what an amazing actor he is. He sounds like an asshole, or pardon my French, in the movie from what he did to his co-stars. And it's like, I don't care about this movie at all. So if you're trying to appeal to the greater people in the greater audience, they didn't do a very good job with that. Wonder Woman was okay. I didn't mind it. Again, here we are with the muted colors. We don't have, Wonder Woman is same as Superman. It's bright colors, red, white, and blue, American colors, and just muted. Just has been said recently that they're not doing a Wonder Woman 3. Patty Jenkins had some ideas, and they just, no, we're good. We're not doing that. But it was all right. Now I can see Mike at that point. I had 2 girls in the house, and they were like, yeah, girl movie, yeah, girl power, I like it. And great. I didn't really enjoy it. It was all right. It was it is what it was. Then we get to Justice League. I saw the original, and we'll get to the Snyder Cut in a minute. I saw the original and got a solid meh from me. It didn't really do much for me. It was like, okay, yeah, that's something, I guess. But, the little bit they brought Superman back and, and all these things. And I didn't like Barry Allen. I thought the character Barry Allen was totally off. I don't like Ezra Miller. I don't think he hasn't got a lot of range. He just plays an ass all the time. It was all right. It had great potential, but like anything, the potential was never followed up on, and it was okay. They did, I think, went too far at the end with the warm and cuddly ending, like all these things going on, and Cyborg suddenly learns how to, use his metal body better, and he looks more human, and all this. It just, yeah, it feels like a movie by committee, and yeah, I wasn't a fan. Now, the funny thing is, I don't mind some of Zack Snyder's movies. I liked Watchmen. Watchmen was a movie that people said you couldn't film, and he proved that they could. I like it. I have the director's cut. It's like 3 hours. I'll watch it and I'll giggle because it's, again, won't giggle. I'll just like smile ear to ear because I really like it. And I enjoyed the Watchmen series when it came out in the 80s. And yeah, anyway, it was okay. It was okay. But the Justice League was, I guess C+ maybe. And then we get into Aquaman. Jason Momoa is a good actor, but he always seems like he's playing Jason Momoa. I like to see him in something different. Now, granted, they're saying that Aquaman's done and he's going to do Lobo now. He's more better suited for Lobo than he is for Aquaman, but I saw the movie. Again, not something I run out and see again. I've seen it and moved on. This Shazam was cute in the fact that, we had... Zach Levy did a good job of playing the boy in a man's body. Some of the follow through on it wasn't so good. It was all right. They went a little bit too far. For someone who's got the wisdom of Solomon, he didn't show it. That's because The Rock is out right now in Black Adam. There's different gods. Well, not even gods. Different deities given characters given their powers. So Shazam was Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. So that's where he got his powers from, and whereas Black Adam got them from the Egyptian gods. But so he has the wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, he's the one who's King Solomon. We both claim this is our baby. Well, let's just cut it in half. No. Well, you must be the mother. You didn't want the baby. So that story of King Solomon. So the wisdom of Solomon would mean he would grow up pretty quickly. He wouldn't be an ass like he was. Bringing the Marvel family into the end was interesting. We'll see what the next Shazam movie brings, but that one wasn't so bad. Just for popcorn entertainment, it wasn't bad. B-. It was all right. This one I didn't even see. I don't care about Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was a great character in the Batman animated series. Beyond that, I don't think she works well. I've seen, like I said, I haven't seen Suicide Squad, but I saw bits of Suicide Squad of what she did, and I don't care for the character. So I wouldn't want to watch Birds of Prey just because, And then we get into Wonder Woman 1984. Now, I haven't seen this one yet. I haven't heard any good thing about it, and the wrap up on it was pretty bad. I have access to it. I just haven't seen it yet. Again, you could factor in, it's 2 hours. Do I want to spend that 2 hours of my life? Many movies I've watched since I was thinking, can I get that 2 hours back, please? And then we had, from the hue and cry, we had the Snyder Cut. After people begging and begging and begging, please give us the Snyder Cut. And they did. It's all right. It's a Zack Snyder movie, so it is what it is. It was all right. It had a very different story. Like, the story beats were the same, but it was wrapped up very differently at the end. And it was, to me, a better version of Justice League. It still wasn't good, but it was better. And I don't know why that they went out of their way to appease the fans by doing this, because then all that means is, give us the Batgirl movie. We're asking really, really hard. Give us the Batgirl movie, which they're never going to do because they're taking the write-off on it. But it's like the fans are like, well, if it's a Karen attitude. If we bang us up our feet, we'll eventually get what we want. And yeah. So maybe not. Now, the next one coming up, I haven't watched this one yet. I have it available to me. I haven't watched it. I just haven't, built up the energy to watch it. I still enjoy these, and they were good. And then Batman Animated was good. This, I'm sort of on the fence with. I've heard some things about it, and I heard it's not bad. I haven't heard a lot of great things about it, but I've heard enough about it to think, yeah, let's get in and do this. I will eventually. I had this and this available to me, for a while, and I just watched Black Adam the other day with the kids, and we just watched it just because it's like, why not? We'll do it before Christmas, and we'll watch this movie. It was all right. I don't know. I don't want to say this the wrong way, but The Rock doesn't have a lot of range. He plays a character, and that's much like my complaint with Will Smith. Will Smith plays Will Smith. Tom Cruise plays Tom Cruise in a lot of cases. There are a little bit of here and there, but Tom Cruise plays Tom Cruise. Will Smith plays Will Smith. And The Rock really plays The Rock. At the ending, I didn't, he's an anti-hero, but I didn't care. He survives, he doesn't. The only one I really cared about was Dr. Fate. And, he met his, well, I won't spoil it. So Dr. Fate is in the movie, and he was okay. Adam Smasher was all right. I don't think he was the right characterization for Albert Rothstein. I didn't like Cyclone. She was all right, but they veered too far from the characters they could have used. But yeah. So that's sort of a wrap up of where they've gone to right now. And the thing is, I don't see anything in there that was just, it really jumps out at me, like Superman, the motion picture. I was like, that grabbed me. And Superman 2, that grabbed me, much like, Star Trek 2, it grabs you, like gets you in. It's like, oh, let's do this. And just anything they're doing right now, I just, there's nothing that really pulls me in and it makes me run. I got to go see this new DC movie. Like even now, and I did this last week, Marvel and their Phase 4, it's like, you had me until Endgame. And since then, are you kidding me? DC had me really early. DC had me in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And they were good movies. I was waiting for them. They were good. As a Batman fan, as a Robin fan, these Batman movies are great. But they haven't really done much since then. It really just grabs me. Now, a lot of people poo-poo on Green Lantern, which, it wasn't a very good movie, but it was, for its time, it wasn't bad. Ryan Reynolds maybe overacted a little bit, and he's much better as Deadpool than he is as Hal Jordan. But DC hasn't done anything, and we've got all these movies. So like from all these things like this, and then this, and like all these things, they've done all this work to get all these movies out, and they're just kind of okay. A lot of these I've seen on streaming services. Like I haven't paid to see a lot of these. I saw Man of Steel in the theater. I did see that in the theater. Did I see any of the ones in the theater? No. So these are all streamers. So, yeah, I'm not sure where they're making the money on this. So I saw Superman 1, 2, 3 in the theater. I saw Batman 1, 2, 3, 4 in the theater. And the other one's just, it's not a draw to me. Also, too, I'm going to think a lot of this, too. If Superman, Man of Steel came out in 2013... 9 years ago, I was in my 40s. Not quite the draw it was when you're in your teens and your 20s. So that's probably part of it too. I'm getting older. Maybe they're just, as I've said before, these movies aren't being made for me. They're being made for someone else. And it's just not something that is, for me, I guess. That's just, how they're coming out. So there is that to it. So I guess in the end, I would safely say DC lost their way for a while. Now they have made some changes. They've got James Gunn, so Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, and Peter Safran. He helped produce the Peacemaker show. They're taking the reins, and even it came out in news yesterday saying that they've cut everything. All the things you're talking about, Superman 2, Wonder Woman 3, cut. Black Adam 2, cut. And James Gunn said, well, some are right, some are not. We shall see. But the problem I have is when James Gunn first took over a couple weeks ago, he said some things, he threw out some teasers. Deadman, Mr. Terrific, Lobo, I wouldn't pay to see any of these movies. Now, he has done, lightning in a bottle, because Guardians was like, hey, here's Guardians of the Galaxy. Who? What? Oh, and they were good. But if you're going to start fresh, like at this point, Guardians was, where are we at? Where's my list of movies I'm watching now? Guardians was like 1, 2, 3, Guardians like movie 12 or something like that. So they had time to set up the universe. So they had Iron Man and Thor, Captain America. They've set the universe. Here's where we're all existing in. Let's do this. And let's do a little side character. If you're starting fresh, Mr. Terrific, he's a good character, I guess, the third smartest man in the world. Batman's first, obviously. Lex Luthor's close second. But Michael Holt as a character, I'm not sure he can carry a movie. Like, what's next? Plastic Man? Of course, Plastic Man, if they'd done right, could be really funny. But Dead Man, Circus Aerialist, he gets shot, gets, kept alive, and he's a spirit who can enter other people's bodies and take them over for a little while. Okay. Lobo, the main man, just he's big, cursed. Momoa would do a good job as him, but I wouldn't go ahead and watch that movie. So I'm just wondering where DC's going with their films right now. It just is, it's interesting to see, because they had such success in the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. And I'm not sure where they're going moving forward. As I've said, it looks like a lot of these are movies by committee now. They're not so much someone just going with it, like George Lucas doing Star Wars. I'm making this movie. Basically, it's space, the Seven Samurai, but I'm making it in space. Great, George. How much do you need? $1 million. I want to keep the merchandise rights. Whatever, George. Go out and have fun. And he made, a universe. But now everything's by committee. It's like, well, we have to make this and get this. And much like what's going on now with, like, on Disney Plus, he says, well, here's Willow. Oh, yeah, cool movie. Love the movie. Here's Willow the series. There's 2 lesbians. Where's Willow? Oh, he's off in the corner there. Okay. All right. So it's just, it's all by committee, and it's all appeasing the focus groups, and just not making entertaining media anymore. But that's me. That's my take on it. Obviously, it doesn't have to be your take on it. It's just my take on it. So I guess in the end, to wrap this up, I'm just going to say, you know what? I hope that they're on the right track for what they're trying to do, for where they're going to go. All I know is a lot of the stuff I just talked about, like the new DC stuff, they're all movies, like the Zack Snyder Justice League was better than the Justice League, but seen it once. Justice League, seen it once. Didn't see Suicide Squad, didn't see Birds of Prey, didn't see Wonder Woman in 84, didn't see The Batman. Maybe I should do that this weekend. I'll watch The Batman so I can have an informed opinion on it. But Superman 1, dozens upon dozens of times. Superman 2, dozens upon dozens of times. Superman 3, a dozen times. Superman 4, a couple times. Batman, 50 times, easy. Batman Returns, 30, 40 times, easy. Batman Forever, 50, 60 times, easy. I need something to do, and I want to have some little bit of fun. I'll throw in Batman Forever, and I love it. I love it. Even though Jim Carrey is just way, way over the top. Like, I understand Jim, what's his name? I'm pulling a brain fart here. Two-Face. Anyway, him saying, I have no time for your buffoonery. I can see that he just was so over the top. But, yeah. So, hopefully something comes out of all this, and we come up with something that's going to be good. We'll see. If they're going to leave with those 3 movies, I'm not sure that's the most auspicious start for everything. Tommy Lee Jones. How can I have a brain fart on Tommy Lee Jones? Geez, he's been around for 40 years. He actually was a college roommate of Al Gore. Like, he's been doing this for a long time. Tommy Lee Jones. I hope good things come out of it. I'm not sure where they're going to go. James Gunn, he has a vision of where he's going to go with it. Whether he gets there or not, I don't know. I think what they need to do is say, all right, James, you have this much money and this much time. Do something, please. Wow us or something, and we'll see what happens. But if not, and I said this years ago. I was actually in Nightwing #1. they announced the series was coming out, and huge Nightwing fan, always have been. I own Nightwing.ca. And I wrote a letter saying, you know what, I'm glad you're doing this, but as a side character, you've had him screw up a lot. And he's the person, he's like number 2 in the DC universe if you need something planned. Like when the Justice League disappeared in the Obsidian Age, Dick Grayson was tapped to be in charge, and he did a great job making the new Justice League and saved them all. Much like right now in Dark Crisis, Dick Grayson is the person they all go to get everything going. He's not an idiot. So I basically just said to them, I wrote in, and I've never written into comics before, and I wrote in and said, if you're going to do this, do it right. If you make him an idiot, we're just going to go back and read all the issues. And that's how I feel. And that got published in Nightwing #1. What I'm saying here is, if you screw up really badly, there's people like me who have their old media to go to. Your Superman, your Batman movies from the 70s, 80s, 90s. We have those to put in. We're bringing out, I don't know, what are we going to bring out now? Bring out something stupid. Oh, here comes Ambush Bug. I don't care. I don't care. Given the rate of CGI right now, you could do a really good Green Lantern movie, even better than, well, the Green Lantern movie wasn't bad for CGI. The costumes were too much, but it wasn't bad for CGI. But the things you could do now with Green Lantern would be amazing. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out of all this. I hope DC's in good hands. I liked what they did back in the 80s. I did enjoy it. I don't like what they're doing now. And this is coming from a comic geek. Like, if you could see what it's right behind the camera here, all these comic things. Like, I got the DC Encyclopedia. I've got, well, it's a lot of Star Trek stuff too. All these things that, I'm a huge fan of it, and I don't like any of these movies. And as I said before, they're probably not being made for me. That's probably a big part of it too. So that is pretty much it for this stream this week. I can't believe this is the stream number 7. I keep doing these, and it's fun. I'm enjoying doing this. I think I've got everything rigged up. If you saw my video today, I've talked about my studio setup, and this is pretty good. I got a key light here, and I got a light here, and I got a light here, and they're all lit really well. My light's behind me, and that's all doing well. I'm gonna have to move this purple one over a little bit, because you really can't see it because I'm in the way here, but it is coming along nicely. So I'm going to wrap up the stream now. I want to thank everyone for coming. We got one person watching right now, but thank you all for coming in after the facts. I know people are seeing these after the facts, so appreciate you doing that. Appreciate you coming to my channel and seeing what's going on. I really do. I like having people comment on things I'm doing, which is interesting now because I have people commenting on older videos saying, oh, wow, I just found this. Can you do this and this and this? So that's always great. So again, sorry for starting so late. I don't know what happened. I guess I need to sit down and pay attention to what I'm doing because I shouldn't have done the first 15 minutes on my own without going live. So if you did stop in at the beginning and like, what's going on? Why is this not here? I do apologize. I will fix that next time. So at this point, I will see you all later. I will talk to you all next week. And everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you all later.